is that the population correlation coefficient is equal to 0. Okay? But what we can actually do is we can hypothesize with respect to the population correlation coefficient to be any value, in which case this particular statistic here allows us to do the calculation. And once again, like all our statistics, you can see that the numerator is the difference between the sample evidence, the sample correlation coefficient, and the population or the hypothesized population value, which is defined in our null hypothesis. So R minus rho, in this case here, is calculating how far our sample evidence is away from our hypothesized value of our population correlation coefficient. Now it just happens that in this case our hypothesized value is 0, so rho becomes 0, and this formula then naturally becomes this formula on the right hand side. So we need to calculate our test statistic. We know what R is. R is 0.94. So our test statistic is T is equal to 0.94 minus the value of the population correlation coefficient under the null hypothesis. So it's minus 0 divided by 1 minus R squared. So it's 1 minus 0.94 to be squared divided by n minus 2. N is the number of paired observations that we have. N is equal to 6. So n minus 2 is going to be 6 minus 2. And it's the square root of that particular value here. Okay, so this gives us 0.94 divided by, I'm just going to grab the calculator and do this calculation here. So it's the square root, and I'm going to put what's inside the square root in brackets. It's the square root of 1 minus 0.94 squared, okay, and that needs to be divided by, well, that needs to be divided by 4, okay, which gives us a value of 0.17 approximately. So our test statistic T is equal to, well, it's equal to 0.94 divided by 0.17, okay, which gives us a value of 5.53 approximately. So what we're saying is this: in standard units terms, our observed, I suppose, our experimental results, of 0.94 for the sample correlation coefficient, in standard units terms, that is 5.53 standard units away from our hypothesized value of our population correlation coefficient. Okay, so we're nearly done now. The next stage in this particular process is that we need to calculate stage in this particular process is that we need to calculate the critical values for t distribution. So step 4 is our critical values. Okay, let's just keep in mind that this is being modeled by a t distribution, so it's a t distribution. Okay, it's centered on 0. It's a two-tail test, so we have a left tail and a right tail. We have alpha over 2 in the left tail, alpha over 2 in the right tail, which is 0.025, and this is 0.025. And the question that we have is, what are the critical values that have 0.025 of the area to the right of them and 0.025 to the left? And to find that, we go to our t-distribution tables. Okay, so our t-distribution tables, okay, we will look for the area in the right-hand tail is going to be 0.025, and our degrees of freedom, well, our degrees of freedom are defined to be the sample size minus 1, so it's n minus 1, which is 6 minus 1, gives us 5. We triangulate in, and this is our respective critical value. Okay, so I'm going to go to our t-distribution tables. Our t-distribution tables with an area of 0.025 in the right-hand tail and with 5 degrees of freedom. The critical value is 2.571. Okay, so this is 2.571. Okay.
Okay, cut ko kayo doon, no? Sinasabi kasi lagi na ang degree of freedom ay dapat n minus 2. So meron siyang mali doon sa n minus 1. No? Sa Genyo kasi is may n minus 2. And for the other lectures, it's n minus 2. So he made use of n minus 1. Okay? So correct lang natin siya. But how do you get actually the 0.025? Okay. Yung 0.025 dyan, saan si Roma? Ayan. Yung 0.025 dyan ay galing sa significance, no? Value of the alpha, 0.05. Yan. Pag dinivide mo yung 0.05 divided by 2, it will be 0.025. Okay? So 0.025. The picture of that in the normal curve is that ganyan siya, two-tailed. Kaya kung nakita nyo ito. Ay, parang walang cursor. Ay, meron akong cursor. Sige. Ito. Yan. Usually kasi, ang mga hypothesis is two-tailed. No? Ito siya. Okay, two-tailed. Ibig sabihin, tail ng curve. No? So, 0.025, saan galing? Dito sa significance, divided by 2. Ayun ang representation. No? 0.025, ayan. And then difference of freedom, dapat ito ay n minus 2. Okay, tignan natin siya sa table. Okay. Parang hindi... Feeling ko mag-out ako, no? So, punta kayo doon sa t-test table. T-test table nyo. Okay. Bigyan ko kayo ng link, no? Ewan ko kung makikita nyo yun. Yun time. Okay. So, ganyan ang magiging itsura ng t-test nyo dyan, no? Wait lang, stop natin para mag-guide ko kayo. So, remember, no? 0.025 is our half tail now, no? The other and the other tail, 0.025. Where do you actually locate it? Okay, punta tayo dito sa t-table, no? Lakihan ko yan. Okay. So, yung t-table, hindi ko alam kung mapapalaki ko pa yan. Okay, ito yan, no? Actually, the two tails is there, 0.05. Okay? 0.05. And then, kita nyo itong 0.025, no? Ito yung one tail. Okay, so this column is considered. And then, the degree of freedom is there. It's 6, sabi doon, no? Minus 1. Pero dapat 6 minus 2 yun, dapat 4 siya, no? Pero 5 yung kinonsider niya, kaya ito yung 5. Okay, kaya ito yan, no? Doon sa kanyang lecture, it's 2.571 now is the value of the t-test. Did you get that? It's 2.571. Pero the truth is, dapat it's n minus 2, it's 4. No? 6 minus 2, dapat it's 2.776. Okay? So, maalala niyo pa ba yan? Okay, ito yan, no? 2.571. Again, and then 2.571. Okay, ito na ang test niya, no? Hold on. Okay, sige. Punta na tayo doon. 5.7 blah blah, no? Sorry, 2.571. Okay, let's continue. Mahirap kasi, no? Pag sinishare mo sa tab, okay, hindi na makikita lahat, unlike when you share, no? Everything. Okay, let's go. Let's continue. Okay, that's 2.571 there, no? Napansin nyo? Okay, that's how you get it. So that now is your T. Actually, that is now, yeah, the T, tawag nito? 2.571, let's continue. Okay.
So this crystal value here is 2.571. So if we look at this in a little bit more detail, what we're saying is that This value here is 2.571. This value over here is minus 2.5. This critical value here is 2.571. Value is 2.571. Okay, so this is 2.571. Okay, so this critical value here is 2.571. So if we look at this in a little bit more detail, what we're saying is that this value here is 2.571. This value over here is minus 2.571. And we're saying that anything that falls into a tail area has a probability at most 0.025 if the null hypothesis is true. In other words, it has a very, very small probability of occurring if the null hypothesis is true, which means that it would have a very, very high probability of occurring if the null hypothesis was actually incorrect and the alternative was true. Okay, so we can see that our t statistic is 5.53. So our t statistic falls into this tail here. T is equal to 5.53. So it falls into the rejection region. So we know to reject. So our decision, step 5, our decision is, well, clearly our t value is bigger than our critical value. It's a two-tailed test, so let's just say the absolute value over t value is bigger than our critical value, absolute value over critical value. And what we mean by that is 5.53 is bigger than 2.571. And as such, we reject H0 in favor of HA at the 5% significance level. Okay, and I suppose really what we're saying now is that we have an inference, we infer, okay, that the population correlation coefficient is not 0, okay, and is different to 0. So we're rejecting the null hypothesis. Okay. I suppose in real terms what we're saying is that the evidence that we've captured, okay, okay, and the correlation coefficient that we've calculated from it, 0.94, that's sufficient evidence to suggest that the true population correlation coefficient is not 0 and in fact is different to 0. Okay guys, once again, this was Jonathan Lambert with the Mathematics Development and Support Service at the National College of Ireland, and I hope this video was helpful. 0. Okay guys, Development and Support Service at the National College of Ireland.
Okay, so yung accent, no? Okay, na-stress ako sa accent. Okay, let's go. Na tayo dito, no? Okay. So itong t-test na 5.53, this one, no? T-test 5.53 coming from this computation. How do you actually picture 5.53? Okay, you cannot picture this without creating the normal curve there, no? How do you create the normal curve? Again, it's based from the significance alpha. And that significance alpha is also what we refer to this, no? Itong significance level diyan, no? 5%. Actually, 0.05, it's 5%, no? 5% significance level, it's talking about that, no? And then, you see this one, no? Itong unshaded, okay, unshaded, yan actually yung critical value, okay? Those are the critical value, the extreme, no? The range critical value, okay? It's 2.571 negative up to 2.571. That is critical, okay? If that will be the result of this, it means to say 5.53, then the null hypothesis, ulitin ko ha, okay, kunwari ito ay in between, it's not 5.53, it's in between negative 2.571 up to, no, including 0, okay, up to 2.571. If this is not 5.53 and it's in between this, then you actually are to accept this, no? Ibig sabihin itong null. And you say there is no significance. Did you get that? So for this one, ni-reject mo, no? Reject this one. Nakuha? Okay, ni-reject mo siya. Kasi nga, it showed, no? 5.53 is there, no? Beyond this unshaded area, it's there. So there is, no? A great significance. There is a big significance of 5% significance level of those two relationship that if you do have a big sales, of course, you will have great profit. Did you get that? Lucky, 5.53. So you're accepting or you're rejecting rather this one, the hypothesis that there is no significance, no? You reject that and you go to the opposite, that is alternative, and it's not equal to 0, it says. Okay? It is beyond and blah blah. Okay? Naintindihan po ba? Okay, somehow siguro, no? So go over that again. It's 12:30 already. Okay. So go over to that again. And mas maiintindihan nyo, it's not gonna be understand in one showing, no? In one sitting down. Hindi po. Okay? Okay, stop na tayo dyan. Okay. And then your assignment would be, okay, remember, meron tayo yung assignment 1 and 2, no? Gawan nyo siya ng t-test. Okay? Okay. Tapos meron pa doong 12:31 na, sorry. So, check this. And further, there is a discussion about hypothesis testing here, the last in the Genio. And then watch this first, no? Then you go back to the Irish professor, and then maiintindihan nyo na siya. Okay? Okay. So, ganun siya. So, in hypothesis, it's just, dalawa lang kasi siya, no? Okay. Is the relationship being accepted or rejected? Dalawa lang kasi yan, no? Okay, yung HO doon, null yun. Ibig sabihin, do we accept that null and say there is no significance relationship between the two? Or we accept the opposite, which is the alternative, no, for that null hypothesis, and we say we accept it because the t-test says otherwise, no? Nandoon siya. Beyond it. Tawa ng tawa si Servo, susuntukin kita. Okay. Sinong katawanan niya? Okay, sige. Sige, sino yung mga may naintindihan ng konti? Taas ang kamay. Okay, sige na. Be honest, naintindihan na ni Aliyah. Buti naman, naintindihan ni Aliyah. Okay, iyan ang mangyayari sa inyo, no? Okay. Kasi meron dalawang factors dyan, o tatlong factors dyan, na will go together, that will support, no? Your research. Saan ba papunta yan, no? Okay. Papunta yan sa either positive or negative kasi, no? Okay, parang walang saysay at walang saysay. Ay, hindi naman walang saysay, hindi walang saysay. Meron kasing supporting quantity, no? Wherein we say, no? That your hypothesis could be accepted or not. Kaya no, yung hypothesis niya, balikan nyo. No? Babalikan nyo yung hypothesis nyo, and then you create a statement, no? Okay, this is my hypothesis. But how will I test my hypothesis, no? So I need a variable. Did you get that? Sir, ba't ako ang tawas? Suntukin talaga kita. Okay, mag-retake ka mamaya, ha? Okay, yan. Gimingiti na kayong lahat, no? Okay. So wait lang. May assignment kayo, ha? Okay. By group. Yung dating grouping. Okay, sino ang wala? Alam ko wala ay wala. Si Bagkal lang, no? Okay, 1, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Walang mawawala dyan. Pag wala, absent. 9, 12. Okay, very good. So, sige, nag-stay kayo. Walang absent, no? Excuse si Miles. Okay, bye-bye, class.